And we have another question from my campaign trail.
People right now are very angry and distrustful of government. What would you do to restore people's faith in their government?
We need to remember that people don't want to serve their governments, but they want the government to serve the people. And a lot of Americans see that the leaders are out of touch with their constituents. And to combat this, I believe we need to curb the influence of special interest groups and lobbyists in Washington. And the first way to do this is by comprehensive campaign finance reform. American people need to know where the money is coming from for all of these independent ads that they're seeing. Also, we need to reform the Patriot Acts, the FISA amendments more specifically, which have warrantless and suspicious list wiretaps. Also, the national security letters that compel libraries and internet service providers and credit companies to disclose private or privileged information about their customers to the government without having to tell their customers that they had done so. These provisions violate some of the Americans' most cherished rights and expectations, which are privacy and the presumption of innocence. We need to move forward past this government oppression. And you have another one?
Boxes of briefs.
Any other comment on that question? Your question?
I'm not a Christian, but only my word anyway. I hear from all around that Social Security is in trouble, but I see also that the recession wiped out the savings of so many. So will Social Security be around in a lifetime?
Social Security is our contract to our senior citizens, and we must honor it. We must encourage private savings and support and supplement Social Security benefits. Another area where the flat tax is bad is Social Security. This takes away deductions like those for retirement accounts and discourages retirement savings. A simple change to make would be having employers have a 401k that is automatically enrolled for their employees. The companies that have already tried this have seen a jump from 70% enrollment to 90% enrollment. And they would have an opt-out clause rather than an opt-in. Saving and preparing for retirement are very important. Social Security is not supposed to be the lone source of income, but a supplement. And it must be treated as such. If we privatize Social Security, though, savings will be lost by and enlarged by those who have invested in companies for their retirement. In the end, that we return into another recession. $50 trillion was lost in the global market in 2008. People had their entire savings depleted in a year. Social Security needs reform. We need to cut administrative costs and update the system. We also need to enforce fraud laws. But we need to keep Social Security intact, but rely on our citizens to become more proactive by saving for Social Security and retirement.
Thank you, Governor Canal. In the upcoming Congress, new health care law is certain to be a major issue with repeal a distinct possibility. Where do you stand on the bill? What do you support, and what would you change about the bill?
Well, healthcare has been a very contentious, to say the least, but let's look away from the fiery rhetoric for a second and let's see what's actually been accomplished. No longer can you be denied healthcare because of a pre-existing condition. You cannot be kicked off of your healthcare coverage because you've become sick. And college students are now allowed to stay on their parents' healthcare plan until the age of 26. This is framework that we can build upon. The next step is to address the problem of cost. The United States is 37th in the world in terms of healthcare, but first in terms of cost. For example, if the economy grows at an annual rate of 4% and healthcare costs increase 6% or 8%, eventually it will tear down the entire system because of the disbalance, the unbalance in the cost. This is why we need a government option. It is the only entity that is large enough to actually force competition between companies and so that they can compete with one another and offer plans that actually have value. We have made progress in healthcare, but we must continue to move in the right direction. And I believe we have one last question. Is it two? What?
Governor Denault, this is a two-part question.
Okay.
Why do you want to be president, and what would you need to accomplish while in office for you to feel like you were a success?
I want to be president because I am tired of the government ignoring its people. I'm tired of the people being disenfranchised. Personally, I think that if I was president of the United States, I'd be in a pivotal position to actually address some of these issues. For example, we have laws against gays being married. We have laws against gays serving openly in the military. I think that these injustices need to be met because the government should never be a tool used for discrimination. Yet we have governmentally institutionalized discrimination across the board. We also have issues with racial profiling where individuals are being singled out simply because of their skin color. I think that the government needs to work for its people, and the people need not be afraid of their government, need not to be persecuted by the government either. If I'm to label myself as a success, it's because I have dismantled parts of the Patriot Act, if not entirely, because I have made strides to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell successfully, in the Defense of Marriage Act as well. I think that the greatest part of this country is not the government, but its people. And when these people are systematically disenfranchised by the government itself, it is irresponsible on the government's behalf and should not be tolerated. It has been an honor and a privilege of mine to be here and to answer the very questions you have always asked, always wanted to ask a candidate for the presidency. My goal here today was to give you the real answers you as citizens of this fine country deserve, and to distinguish myself as the better candidate for the job. I also want to show you that I stand apart from Senator Williams' policies of profits over public. Thank you for your questions and your time.